Before we dive in, viewer discretion is strongly advised. What you're about to hear is not dramatized. These are real statements, directly from the courtroom, made during the federal trial of Sean Diddy Combs on June 2, 2025. Nothing here has been taken out of context. The details are graphic, the emotions, raw, and the contradictions, unbelievable. Meet Mia, a former assistant to Diddy. But she wasn't just an assistant, she was inside the machine, inside his world. And when she finally stepped into that courtroom, everything she thought she buried came spilling out. She told the court she was brainwashed, controlled, manipulated, but at the same time, she also sent him messages saying, "I love you," videos calling him a legend, texts about happy memories. So, what's the truth? Let's break it down. And trust me, it only gets darker. It started like any dream job would. Mia, young and ambitious, worked as a design assistant for one of the biggest names in entertainment. But from the very beginning, something was off. In court, the defense held up Mia's old resume. It said she had thick skin, could handle uncomfortable situations 24/7, and could multitask like no one else. She didn't even remember writing that, but when the judge asked if it looked like her words, she didn't deny it. Mia said her job wasn't just administrative, it was total. She had to carry passports, manage schedules, and even film audition tapes, all before the iPhone era. She said, "I was required," and that's the key word here, required, because this wasn't just a demanding boss. According to Mia, Diddy's grip extended beyond work hours. Her passport, taken, her schedule, not hers. She traveled with Diddy's companies, followed orders, and described the experience as living inside his grip. The defense tried to paint her as a strong woman, someone with leadership skills and the ability to speak up for herself. But Mia rejected that. She said she was good at teaching others, not enforcing. She wasn't a leader. She didn't even think she had a voice. But if that's true, then how do you— Let's rewind to Christmas 2018, nearly 2 years after Mia had left Diddy's employment. The courtroom projector lit up with a text message. It was from Mia to Diddy. "Merry Christmas, I love you." The prosecution sat quietly. The defense stared across the aisle. The jury shifted in their seats. Why would someone send that to the man they now accuse of control, abuse, and manipulation? Mia answered plainly, "I had just seen him at Kim Porter's funeral. It felt natural." But the defense didn't let up. They brought out another message, this one even stranger. In 2019, Mia texted Diddy about a nightmare. She said she was being chased by R. Kelly, and that Diddy saved her. "You said he saved you?" the attorney asked. Mia nodded. "Psychologically, I was still under his control." And just like that, the courtroom saw the heart of the case. Not just physical control, but psychological, brainwashing, loyalty wrapped in trauma. Then came a third message, May 2020. "My heart is broken. I love you." This wasn't ancient history. This wasn't a confused teen. This was an adult woman, years after allegedly escaping abuse, still reaching out with affection. And yet, when asked why she did it, she said, "Because I blamed myself, because I was still in it, in my mind." So now the question is no longer just what Diddy did, but how deep the grip really went. If the earlier texts were confusing, the next one downright stunned the room. In a message from 2019, Mia wrote to Diddy, "I had a nightmare I was being chased by R. Kelly, and you saved me." The courtroom went quiet. The defense pounced. "The man you say traumatized you, saved you in your dreams?" Mia didn't flinch. "That's what psychological control looks like," she said. She explained that her subconscious hadn't caught up with the reality, that even in her sleep, she was still looking to Diddy for protection, still viewing him as a hero, still mentally tied to him. This wasn't just a toxic workplace, it was psychological warfare. Then came more texts. Diddy writing, "Fuck it, let's go to war." Mia writing, "We had so many funny memories." It didn't add up. Or maybe it added up too well. A woman trained to please, to comfort, to deny the trauma in order to survive. Still, to the defense, it looked like Mia wasn't just any employee. She was close, really close. She said she made a custom scrapbook for Diddy, complete with leather wrapping and purple detailing. It was for his birthday, she said, to make him feel loved. She told the court she used to carry a camcorder everywhere. He required it, she said. Before iPhones, she was responsible for filming auditions and behind-the-scenes content. One of those recordings included someone auditioning for the James Brown role, a role that later went to Chadwick Boseman. But things got more serious when she started talking about surveillance. Mia claimed Diddy had stolen both her phone and Cassie's phone on multiple occasions, that he planted tracking devices on cars, that he controlled the flow of information so tightly she wasn't even allowed to tell Cassie where he was or what he was doing. "He didn't allow me to," she said flatly. This wasn't just about intimidation, it was about power. Diddy wasn't just her employer. According to Mia, he was the puppeteer, and everyone else was dancing on invisible strings. And then came the line that changed everything. The defense asked, "How did he bamboozle you?" Mia looked the attorney in the eye and said something the courtroom wasn't ready for. "With a part of his body, in me, without my consent." Gasps, objections, immediate chaos. The prosecution leapt up. "Objection! Sustained," said the judge. "Strike that from the record." But it was too late. The jury heard it. The press heard it. The world heard it. In one sentence, Mia hinted at something far darker, a line crossed that couldn't be walked back. No footage, no evidence, no photos, but raw, unfiltered words from a woman who said she couldn't scream, couldn't even move. "I was in shock," she said quietly when the court resumed. This is where the case blurred. The public's image of the glamorous music mogul started cracking, and the idea of consent, control, and complicity suddenly got much murkier, and what came next made it even harder to ignore. The defense didn't hold back. "You had years away from him. Why didn't you speak up then? You were free to leave. Why didn't you go to the police? Why didn't you scream?" Mia's answers came slowly, almost in whispers. "I blamed myself. I thought I had done something wrong. I was afraid." She said she didn't even relate to the Me Too movement at first. While millions of women were coming forward, Mia stayed silent. Why? Because Diddy told her that if she said anything, he'd tell Cassie, the woman she loved like a sister, what really happened. And that threat, she said, kept her silent. "I internalized the blame, the shame. I thought it was my fault," she told the jury. Even when shown text messages that could have easily cleared the air or exposed what happened, she admitted she never hit send. "I would never have written that because at the time, it wasn't my truth yet." And when asked directly, "Did he ever physically harm you?" "I didn't take photos. I didn't go to the hospital. I was never outside of his grip." Then came the part the defense was waiting for. "You sued Mr. Combs for $10 million and walked away with $200,000, correct?" "Yes," Mia answered. And just like that, the narrative shifted again. The defense painted her as opportunistic, chasing a payout, not justice. "You only accused him after getting a lawyer?" "I don't remember the timing." "You raised abuse after hiring Sean Crowley?" "I don't recall the first meeting exactly." The implication was brutal. Mia didn't come forward for truth. She came forward for money, but Mia fought back. "This was never about the money," she said. "If there was no chance of compensation, I still would have testified. I have a moral obligation to tell the truth now. Still, the settlement, the timing, the legal team, it left a stain that the prosecution struggled to wipe off. And just when you thought things couldn't get more complicated, the jury was shown a video, a birthday tribute video Mia posted publicly. She's smiling, her lip gloss is popping. She's calling Diddy a living legend and an inspiration. The clip ends with, "Let's shut it up. I love you." The defense turned to her. "Why did you post that if he traumatized you?" Mia didn't blink. "Because when he was happy, I was safe." She said the entire team was expected to post glowing birthday videos, that her public praise was part of survival, that any disobedience, any slip-up could result in being yelled at, humiliated, or worse. "Were you worried about your physical safety?" the attorney asked. "I'd been hit by Puff before. I knew his wrath," she said quietly. She explained that she even feared public speaking, that her comedy performances were only allowed with Diddy's permission, and that nothing she had ever done, not acting, not writing, not creating, compared to the weight of sitting on that witness stand. When asked why she was finally testifying now, she gave the most human answer of the entire trial. "If I didn't speak now, I couldn't look my goddaughters in the eye." By the time the courtroom reached the final stretch, it was clear this wasn't a typical witness. Mia wasn't one-dimensional. She was full of contradictions, flashbacks, and emotional spirals that had the jury leaning in 1 minute and leaning back the next. The defense pulled up even more photos. Mia at events, Mia with her family, Mia smiling, Mia partying. "You say you had no freedom, but you went to Halloween parties, weddings, you spent time with friends." Mia didn't deny it, but she said those moments were rare, always under watch, always with one eye on her phone in case Puff needed her. She told the jury she was never truly outside his control, even when she wasn't physically in his presence. Her phone, her messages, her movements, everything was monitored. Even her therapist's notes, she said, were considered privileged because nothing felt truly safe to share. "You never called the police. You never screamed. You never left," the defense said. "I was brainwashed," Mia repeated. And that was the paradox. She wasn't acting like a textbook victim. She acted like someone who still hadn't figured out where the truth ends and the trauma begins. As her testimony closed, the courtroom fell into silence. One last time, Mia looked at the jury and explained why she was there, why she agreed to relive the most humiliating and painful parts of her life in public. "Because I have goddaughters, and I can't tell them to speak up. If I didn't." That line hit hard. The judge asked the defense if they wanted a recross. "No, Your Honor," they replied. And just like that, it was over. The courtroom exhaled. The jury was left with a puzzle that didn't quite fit. A woman who had once called her boss a legend, now calling him a monster. A woman who said, "I love you," in texts, now saying she was terrified to leave. So now, the question isn't just whether Diddy committed the crimes he's accused of. The question is, was Mia a liar? Or was she living in the kind of psychological prison most of us can't even imagine? We may never know the full truth, but one thing's for sure, nobody walked out of that courtroom the same.